The hour of 6 p.m. having arrived, a call to order this regular meeting of the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. The meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel. The video is also posted on the city website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Copies of the printed agenda is available in the wall pockets just as you enter the meeting room. The public and other city councilors will be recognized to ask questions and make comments on the agenda item under discussion. After being recognized, all remarks are to be made through the chair. I will not recognize an individual a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room, identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. Written comments from the public will be accepted at the city clerk's office until Tuesday at 1 p.m. I'll now call to order this regular meeting, and there is a quorum, and our fifth member is on his way. The minute takers participating remotely, committee members and others are asked to be sure to turn on their microphone when speaking. And if the minute taker can't hear, she's going to ask to speak louder or turn on your microphone. With that, we have a couple items. First one is the Conservation Commission recommendation, Eversource request to conduct tree trimming on scenic roads. And we have that because last night was a stormy night, and they anticipated that, so MSFI had a very short agenda and did a lateral to us.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, committee members. Corp Blomquist, Public Works Director, Emergency Management Director, Assistant City Manager. With me is
Jesse Rounds, Community Development Director.
And you do have before you this evening the request from Eversource for doing tree trimming and tree maintenance on a number of scenic roads within the city of Keene. Just for the public and for the committee, the scenic road ordinance does require a joint hearing between the City Council and the Conservation Commission, which has been held. The Conservation Commission then reviews the request and provides any guidelines or direction that they would like to see potentially placed into the permission for Eversource. Community Development Director will talk about the recommendation from the Conservation Commission.
So the Conservation Commission met on Tuesday of this week and voted to support or recommend approval for the tree trimming. So no more comments than that.
Great, and I will bring in the Eversource representative and turn this over to him. And if there are any other questions from the committee about what they are proposing to do, if not, you do have a motion in front of you.
Hi, my name is Dane Darkangelo. I'm an arborist with Eversource Energy. I'm here today to talk about the proposed tree trimming along select scenic roads in Keene. Those scenic roads being Peg Shop Road, Chapman Road, Whitcombs Hill Road, Daniels Hill Road, Hurricane Road, Langley Road, Felt Road, and Starnes Road. These roads are due for their routine maintenance trimming. We do this trimming every 4 to 5 years. The trimming is focused along trimming away the regrowth from the trees since the last time we trimmed. We trim out a zone around the wires, and that is measured from the topmost wire on the pole, which is classified as our primary wire. From that primary wire, we trim 15 feet above that wire, 8 feet to each side of that wire, and 10 feet below that wire. Individual property owners are contacted by our contractor, Asplin Tree Expert Company, prior to the trimming for requests for trimming from the property owners as well. We have to get permission from the city and the property owners for us to do that trimming. This trimming is necessary to ensure the safe distribution of power and improve the reliability of the electric service for our customers.
The committee? So I have, actually I have two because one of my constituents has a tree that's given her trouble. These that we're talking about are just the ones on our scenic roads, but this is in conjunction with that zone, right? If I understand this right?
Yeah, so this hearing is for the purpose of the scenic roads. We are doing trimming throughout the city near those scenic roads as well, basically half of the city is being trimmed on maintenance this year. So if the location you're speaking of is outside of the scenic roads, then it very well could be something that we're going to be addressing.
Okay. And when you say that 8 feet up, and et cetera, on Felt, I happened to see this today, so I can remember it, the same day. On Felt Road, there's a fairly good-sized tree that starts on the right side and has worked its way all the way to the left side over, it's a good 8 feet above that zone, but it's gonna come down at some point in time. You would probably address that because it's a hazard to your lines.
Yeah, currently at this moment, we're trimming, for trimming the trees along the scenic roads. For removal, we would have to have a different hearing. This hearing is just for trimming the trees. At this point, we're focusing our removal efforts on the higher customer count lines, which feed the scenic roads. So a lot of times scenic roads don't have a ton of customers on them, but the roads feeding the scenic roads do, and that's where we're focusing on our efforts taking down trees.
Okay. All right, thank you. Nobody else here, so. We have two motions for this particular topic.
Move that the recommendation from the Conservation Commission be accepted as informational.
Sure. Well, second, we gotta.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? No one opposed. That's unanimous. Your turn now.
Move to recommend the City Council to authorize Eversource Energy to perform all tree trimming services under requested and designated scenic roads in the city, subject to the following standard conditions. That Eversource Energy make landowners aware of the option for leaving topped, dead, or diseased trees for the purpose of supporting wildlife habitat, and that the tree removal activity is coordinated with the Public Works Department.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none. All those in favor? No one opposed. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman.
much.
All right, item number 2 is the sole source construction administration contract. Duncan?
I'm not coming up until I'm sure it's my turn.
Okay.
Keep jumping the gun on you guys here, but I know you have a short agenda, so I'll keep this brief. Hi, my name's Duncan Watson. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director, and I'm here before you tonight to offer up a recommendation to issue a sole source contract, construction administration contract for Desmond Associates. They are the current designers of the repair and maintenance work that we have planned for the Wells Street Garage. It's basically going to be putting down a new membrane surface that's necessary to preserve the deck, as well as some concrete repairs that are going to be throughout different sections of the deck. We were very pleased to find out that we had 5 bidders for the project, and we had our design engineers interview the low bidder and determined that the low bidder was qualified and suitable to do this repair work. And this contract before you is for construction administration to oversee the construction that will happen as soon as we can get all of the final pieces in place, a contract with the low bidder, as well as the necessary bonds and other assurances that the work can be completed by the contractor, and then the construction administration contract, which would oversee that work.
Okay. Questions from members of the committee? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I've asked this question before, and I can't remember the answer. Why are we calling this sole source when we had 5 bids?
Oh, so the bids, I'm sorry that was confusing. The bids that we got were from a competitive bid process. The bidder is going to be the low bidder who's going to be awarded the contract will be overseen through this sole source contract during the construction part of it. It's basically to make sure that all of the plans and specifications are adhered to, and that there's a quality control and quality assurance aspect to this project.
I'm not sure I understand, but it's a separate from the actual construction. So there was a bidding process on the construction. We're saying that the person who one that is also gonna be overseeing the quality control, or there's a,
No,
Different
the people who designed
This
the
is
work that we bid out
got it,
are going to be
Desmond is not the
overseeing
winner.
the work that's going to be done.
got it. Okay, I understand. Desmond is not the person who was the low bid. I'm
Correct.
good. Thank you. Oh, that's Pierce Property, yeah, thank you.
Further questions? Okay, take a motion.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to sole source and execute a professional services contract with Desmond Associates to perform construction administration oversight for the Wells Street parking structure repair and maintenance project scheduled for spring 2023 for an amount not to exceed $32,800.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? No one's opposed, so it's unanimous.
Thank you kindly.
And we have the last item, city manager.
Thank you. I've provided a couple of updates related to the HUD lead abatement grant application. We had been talking to Cheshire County about potentially partnering with the county and Sullivan County, so Sullivan and Cheshire together. And we had had that conversation with Cheshire County. They weren't able to take it on, so we've been looking for another partner. And we have found another partner. MEDC is willing to be the partner for our region, but the grant would go through the city of Keene. So the city of Keene would be the grant applicant, and then Cheshire County, MEDC, on behalf of Cheshire County Homes, that would be applying for the grant funds, would be a subrecipient, and then Sullivan County would be a subrecipient. So it's $4 million that we're applying for, and then for the actual lead abatement piece, and then $400,000 for Healthy Homes, which has to do with related code issues when they're doing the lead abatement project. So basically, the city of Keene would be the pass-through entity should we be successful. Now, if we are successful, we have to come back and ask the council for a vote to accept and expend the funds, but I wanted to keep you in the loop because, you know, last time I spoke to you, we didn't have a partner yet identified. And so MEDC is willing to take that on. If we are successful in getting this grant, we believe we will be able to do about 200 units between Cheshire County and Sullivan County. And so roughly approximately 100 in each community. And so we did pull some numbers to take a look at the need for our communities. And about 61% of the homes in Cheshire County were built before 1978. So we suspect there's quite a need. And in 2020, the data estimated that 4,198 kids under the age of 6, of which only 962 were tested in Cheshire County in 2020, and 33% of them had blood levels over the limit. So they were experiencing blood poisoning. And now the law has changed, and so children, I think it's under the age of 1, will be tested, and so it'll be a blood test at the doctors when they go in. So we suspect that number is going to increase dramatically. And what this funding would do is allow property owners, it could be multifamilies, it could be single homes, to access these funds to abate the lead in their homes. And we know that some homes are actually left vacant until that can happen. And given the housing crunch that we've been experiencing and the council goals around affordable housing and improving our housing stock, this effort really does seem to be in line. Now, because I have a personal relationship with the Sullivan County manager, I will not be the project director. Somebody else will be, but I won't be in any role deciding any of the applicants because the money is being directly passed down to MEDC, who will be awarding the applications to the homes in Cheshire County. And so there really is no conflict, but just in case, because I don't want to have a perception of one, I still won't take any sort of leadership role in the grant should we be awarded.
So you mentioned 200 units.
Yeah.
How much does that break down in terms of what they
cost.
all, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have a friend that's having to abate an apartment, and it's over 60,000 now for one apartment.
Yeah. It's getting more and more expensive. The numbers that I looked at today, it was a percentage of the overall cost, and it really was only about around $17,000 to $20,000 per unit, and the homeowner had to come up with the difference. So there's some skin in the game for the property owner as well. So it doesn't totally offset the cost of the project, but a lot of those details in terms of, you know, how much will go to each unit still will have to be worked out if we are successful in getting the grant.
So this is a 4-unit house,
Yeah,
and
so-
only one has a child in it, so she only has to take care of that one, but already 60, estimating more like 80 for that one apartment, so
Yeah.
that's important. The other thing is, my understanding is that the state of New Hampshire keeps lowering the amount.
Correct.
So it was like 15 grams, and it was 10
Yes.
grams, and then it was 0.75 gram,
Yeah.
and now it's 0.50. So, I mean, the
It's-
numbers are gonna be higher because the
Yes.
threshold is so much lower.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily that there's more and more cases, it's just that, there is more cases, but more cases based on,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's absolutely right. So we're actually anticipating we're going to have a lot more need, because if children are testing and they're required to test, then a lot of housing units are going to probably experience problems with lead and lead abatement, because the number has dramatically decreased, and now there is a law about testing. So I think the numbers are going to be a lot higher in terms of need in the county. And I know that Keene will be a large user of these funds should we be successful.
Thank you. So just so I understand, the city of Keene is applying on behalf of all of Cheshire County. Is the county providing us any support, matching funds? They're not doing anything?
Yeah, no, we haven't gone back to them. If we're successful, we could go back to them and see if there's a way that we may partner. But because we're applying for the funds, and then the subrecipients will be MEDC, which will cover the county, and then Sullivan County. So the two counties will be covered, but no, it's not going through the county budget process.
And so our county government just has no
Well,
involvement?
No, I mean, it's not fair to say that, because I haven't
Okay.
gone back and said, okay, if we are successful, could you help us with this? I think that, you know, from the conversations that we had with them, they just were not comfortable. The deadline was quick, even though Sullivan County already had the structure in place to do this, and a successful grant application and the information to complete the grant. They still were feeling a bit rushed, and so they said that they might consider applying themselves next year. So that's an option for the future if we're not successful, but this will give us a shot in this round, and then it'll be another year before we can have another shot at it. And at that time, maybe Cheshire County would be, if we don't get it, willing to take it on, or even if we do get it, willing to help us get to the next batch of housing units.
Okay. Understood. You know, I still think it's great. It just appears like we're doing some legwork on behalf of the whole county, which I'm happy to help our neighbors, but it seems like the city does a lot of legwork for the whole county. And when we look up Court Street, we kind of hear crickets.
I can appreciate that. The reason why I'm willing to take on the legwork is because I do think Keene will be the largest beneficiary of the funds, Keene units.
I'm just thinking through, what would be some of the other issues. So the first thing is, the city council's given you blanket authority to apply, right? We don't need to get in any,
That's correct. Yep.
and would we need council action to partner with MEDC?
We will need council action if we're awarded the grant, which will then say we're going to subrecipient these two organizations, and that will cover it at that time.
Okay.
I am going to be looking for letters of support. We've reached out to already, Town of Swansea is going to write us a letter of support. And we're going to reach out to some of our federal delegation and get some letters of support from them and from Southwestern Community Services. They're willing to do a letter of support. And Counselor Williams, who started this conversation, is going to write a personal letter about his story and why this has been so important to him. And so if you know of anybody else that's willing to do a letter of support, it's a short timeline. We're trying to get them by March 1st, but I can certainly provide information if you do know of someone.
Any further discussion, members of the committee? So I need a motion.
Move to recommend the verbal update to HUD grant application be accepted as informational.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. We're done. Beth's got to go start her car.